In early 2020, as a pandemic was sweeping the country, rural real estate prices temporarily went off a cliff. Of course, a few months later, they came roaring back and set new record highs. Before they did, though, we found a hidden treasure, a cluster of old, crumbling buildings in the middle of an Idaho wheat field. $1,360 an acre, all included. But it wasn't just wheat fields. There in the middle of the farm, hidden in plain sight, was this hand-hewn Dutch timber frame barn.
The barn was probably built about the same time as the house, right about the turn of the century, 1900, 1905. So after we got to looking at it and realizing this is a timber frame structure, and our friend Kevin Durkin came through and he made the point that this was one of the last timber frame barns or structures of any kind built in, say, North America ever.
That's because this area of northern Idaho was one of the last places in the country to be settled. And as soon as sawmills came on the scene, which was just a few years after this place was built, everybody moved to stick framing because it was cheaper. But the quality and the craftsmanship of this structure and others like it is elite and unmatched. You could just feel history when you stepped inside. So of course, we had to find a way to buy it.
So we really didn't have the money to buy the property, but given that we have a construction company, we do have a line of credit, and I hope my banker isn't listening because we're not supposed to use it for that. But we took that line of credit and used it to buy the property. We did get a little slap on the wrist from our banker telling us not to do that again. After we got everything into a finished form, we got a commercial loan on it. And then we've begun operating a business to make the payments on that loan. So you've got to be willing to think outside the box and be a little bit creative. And if you're willing to do that, you can do it.
Saving this barn meant starting back at ground zero. So we disassembled it and cataloged each piece, each beam, like it was an archaeological dig. We poured a new foundation and then spent a few months restoring each timber, replacing what couldn't be saved and preserving everything that could be. Then came the real puzzle, reassembling 110 years of craftsmanship using traditional timber frame techniques. No shortcuts, no compromises. We decided to add expansive windows to frame this iconic view of the Idaho countryside. But this was 2021 and supply chains were lagging months. So while the windows were delayed, my brother John had a brilliant idea. He designed and framed up a 3-story structure to sit right next to the barn that resembled a grain silo. So it was clad in tin, had the same architectural shapes as a silo, but inside, the ground floor housed a commercial kitchen that could be used for weddings and events, and the second and third floors were luxury suites, more accommodations for guests to stay over. The final result was a fully restored timber frame barn that can seat at least 80 folks for weddings, family reunions, whatever kind of event you want to have out in the country. Next, we tackled what appeared to be just a generic 1960s, 70s farmhouse. But underneath all that aluminum, vinyl siding, and fake wood paneling was another gem of a building, an authentic early 1900s farmhouse. Strip by strip, my brothers took off all the vinyl siding, all the junk that was hiding the true character of this farmhouse. And it turns out it was built in 1910 by the family that was homesteading here, but modernized in the 60s or 70s.
This was the Engel family. They originally had a homestead cabin back on the river, back in the canyon, somewhere in about the 1890s, and they bought a few places that people had tried to prove up on that weren't able to, so they expanded. It was a father and 2 sons. Henry Leon Engel eventually built this house in about 1910. It was neat. When we were going through, we were taking out the old ceiling. We found a 2x4 that must have been on the bunk of lumber that he ordered because it states H.L. Engel, Deary, Idaho. It's right in the other room there. The whole project took about 9 months combined, the barn and the farmhouse. And they were somewhat simultaneous. In 2020 with COVID, there were a lot of material issues, windows, doors, a lot of things were hard to procure. So After stripping off the old siding, after stripping off the old shag carpet, we completely replaced the electrical, completely replaced the plumbing. We actually added 3 air conditioning units, then finished a lot of the wood that was already in here, painted it, and kept the same structure. It was about a 9-month process from breaking ground until moving in.
I was busy in Texas building a bunch of cabins around the lake when this project happened, but I did get my hands on one piece of it, which was designing this mural, which we painted on the side of the barn. We decided to name the farm Morning Glory Farm after the wildflowers that blanket the sides of the driveway all spring and summer long. Every corner of the property tells a story, from the vintage quilts in the bedrooms of the farmhouse to the kitchen downstairs, where every few months my mom and sisters host a high tea. Homemade finger foods, elegant pastries, fresh cut flowers, and warm conversations fill this cozy little farmhouse, and everyone's welcome. But I gotta warn you, the waiting list isn't short. And all of this is just a few miles outside the quaint little town of Deary, where my mom has a quilt shop, Brush Creek Creamery is, and the pie safe sits in a restored Ford garage. What other dreams do you have if you look 5 years into the future for Morning Glory Farm?
All along when we started this, we had the thought of an actual farmstead, that people could come out and stay here and participate in the agriculture that's going on, the regenerative agriculture that's going on. So 2 of my sons actually have built places here on the property, and they not only manage the public venue, but they have begun the garden, and they're raising meat birds, meat chickens. We want it to be a place where people can come out and actually participate in an ongoing, not just token farm, but a farm that's actually being operated that supplies the local market.
What started as a farm that no one cared about has become a destination that brings together history, community, and hospitality into one beautiful, immersive experience. This is just the beginning. We've got plans for a U-pick orchard, gardens, hay rides, different experiences for each season. We want guests to come and participate in an active, real farm life. And honestly, one of the greatest blessings of my life has been working with family. No, we're not perfect, but we've learned to lean into each other's strengths to serve and to complement, not compete. I wouldn't trade that for anything else in the world. If you love the idea of breathing life into forgotten places, of creating one-of-a-kind experiences and reviving rural America, then hit subscribe, because there's a lot more to come. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.